Welcome to the first video for the first topic, number system and equations. The objective for our lessons today is to represent open, closed, semi-intervals and their representation on the number line. But before that, I'm going to introduce a few group numbers that we have in mathematics. So the first one is natural number. Natural numbers start from 1, 2, 3, and so on. Natural numbers, also known as the counting numbers, and it is represented by symbol n. But if we have a sequence of numbers starting from 0, then this sequence of number will call as whole number, which is represented by symbol w. And for integers, if we have a sequence of number starting from negative numbers, for example, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on. So if we have a sequence of numbers starting from negative number, hence we know the sequence as integers, which is represented by symbol z. Okay? So for prime numbers, it is actually a natural numbers which is greater than 1 and can only be divided by itself and 1 only. For example, it is given here, number 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and etc. Okay. Next one is irrational numbers, which is represented by symbol Q. Okay. It is represented as a ratio or quotient. Quotient also known as a fraction number. Okay. The next one is irrational numbers, which is represented by symbol Q bar or Q prime. Q bar or Q prime both represents irrational numbers. Last but not least is the real numbers, which is represented by symbol R, which is combination of rational numbers and also irrational numbers. Okay, that's all a group of numbers that we have in mathematics. So now we are going to proceed to the main objective of our lesson today. So today is actually we want to learn what is open interval or closed interval or semi-open interval. So I'm going to introduce you those intervals. Okay. Let us focus on open interval. Okay, so open interval can be represented in 3 different forms, which is interval notation, set notation, and also real number line. So in interval notation, for open interval, we use circle bracket. Okay, this is circle bracket. Look, round bracket. So when you are dealing with round bracket, hence you should know it is an open interval. So hence, in a set notation form, A to B can represented in curly bracket like this. Okay. Alright, so now I want to introduce you how to represent this in real number line. So we do the example from 2 to 5. So draw a line and write down a 2 and 5. Okay. So because we have a circle bracket, so we need to use an empty circle for both number. Okay, because 2 and 5 is not included. Alright, so just connect it like that. Okay, as easy as that. So for open interval, you need to use empty circle. Okay. Okay, let us look on closed interval. The next one, closed interval. So closed interval, you will dealing with square bracket. Look at the bracket. You have a different type of bracket, right? So for open interval, you use circle bracket. Unfortunately, for closed interval, you are going to use a square bracket. Okay? So this is how you write and close interval in a form of set notation. So let us look how to draw a number line for closed interval. So write down, draw a line and write down the number 2 to 5. Okay, because we have a square circle which is represent closed interval, you need to use a dense circle. Okay, you need to use a dense circle for both numbers to include 2 and 5. Okay, for closed interval, because 2 and 5 both are using a square bracket. So just the same step, connect them. Alright, what about a semi-open interval? Okay, semi-open interval. Next one. Semi-open interval. Okay, let us look on the example. Okay, 2, 5. Look at 2 use a circle bracket. However, for 5, we use a square bracket. So this is a combination of a circle bracket and also a square bracket. That is why we call this as a semi-open interval. So this is how we write down in a set notation form. So how to draw in a real numbers line. So you draw a line, write down the numbers. Okay, look at the bracket. So 2 use a circle bracket. So for a circle bracket, you need to use an empty circle. However, for 5, it is use a square bracket, so you need to use a dense circle to include the number of 5. Okay, so connect them. As easy as that. Okay, let us try the next one. Okay, it is switch the position. Now 2 use a square bracket, and for 5 we use a circle bracket. So this is how we write down in a set notation form. So now we want to draw a number line for this interval. So draw a line, write down the number 2 to 5. So now 2 is using a square bracket, so you need to use a dense circle. However, for 5, it is using a circle bracket, so you need to use an empty circle and connect them. So I believe for now you get the idea of how to draw a number line for easy intervals like this. Okay, let us move to the last one, infinite interval. Okay, infinite interval when you are dealing with infinity. Okay, infinity. Look at the first one, 8 to infinity. Okay, we proceed to the example, 2 to infinity, and this is how we write down in a set notation form. Now we want to draw a number line for this interval. So the same step, draw a line and write down the number. Do you need to label the infinity? You don't have to, because infinity is not even a number. Okay, so because 2 is using a round bracket, so you need to use an empty circle. Very good. Okay, so because 2 to positive infinity, you just need to draw an arrow towards positive infinity. Okay, let us try the next example. Now, 2 to infinity, but however, 2 is using a square bracket. Okay, this is how you write down in a set notation form. Okay, when you have a square bracket, so you need to use an inequalities with equal sign. So when you draw a line, write down number 2. The same thing, you don't have to label infinity. So because 2 is using a square bracket, hence you need to use a dense circle and make an arrow towards positive infinity. Okay. The next one, for negative infinity to 5, so this is how you write down in set notation form. So for number line, you need to draw 5 here. Okay, because now you are going to negative infinity, so the other way. So 5 is using a circle bracket, so you need to use an empty circle and moving towards a negative infinity. Okay, let us try the next example, which is the last example for negative infinity to 5, and this is how you write down in set notation form. Draw a line and label 5, and because 5 is using a square bracket, so you need to use a dense circle and moving towards negative infinity. So in conclusion, today you already learned about open interval and also close interval. Okay, so open interval when you are dealing with a circle bracket. However, for closed interval, when you are dealing with square bracket. Okay, so in order to draw a number line for circle bracket, you need to use an empty circle. However, for square bracket, you need to use a dense circle to include the numbers. Alright? So for the inequality sign, for open interval, you will have a greater than or less than without the equal sign. Okay? But for closed interval, you are going to have greater than or equal or less than or equal to. Okay? So as a conclusion today, this is the things that you already learned. Alright, so that's all for today's lesson. So you need to complete the assessment, and assessment will be given by your lecturer for today's video. Thank you.